Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. I think you could get that stand, please. Hare Krishna. Mayanza is here. Okay, so we are lesson 8. So we're on lesson 8, which is on page 42. Thanks. Can you tie that open too, please? Okay, lesson 8, page 42, which is entitled Guru Puja. So puja means worship. Guru is a spiritual teacher. So lesson topics: regular worship of Srila Prabhupada, the importance of Guru Puja, formal worship of ISKCON Gurus, Vyasa Puja. The importance of Guru Puja. So this is Saksha Daritvena Samasta Shastra Uktastata Bhavyata Eva Sadbi. This is a song, a part of a song that is recited throughout all the temples of the world every morning. So yeah, it's an important song. This is an important verse. The spiritual master is honored as much as the Supreme Lord Krishna because he is the most confidential servitor of the Lord. Aradhananam sarvesham Vishnu aradhanam param tasmat paratanam devi tadiyanam samarchanam. Lord Shiva told the goddess Durga, "My dear Devi, although the Vedas recommend worship of demigods, the worship of Lord Vishnu is topmost. However, above the worship of Lord Vishnu is the rendering of service to Vaishnavas who are related to Lord Vishnu." Krishna told Arjuna, "Those who are my direct devotees are actually not my devotees, but those who are devotees of my servant are factually my devotees." So this Guru Puja which we are doing, it is not self-aggrandizement. It is real teaching. You sing daily. What is that? Guru Mukha. This is Srila Prabhupada in New York. Guru Mukha Padma Vakya Ara Na Kari Aikya. Bas, that is translation. I tell you frankly, whatever little success is there in this Krishna consciousness movement, I simply believed what was spoken by my Guru, Maharaj. You also continue that. Then every success will come. Om Jnanativedandasya Garanjana Shalakya Chakshulanvaditamena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkness of ignorance, and my spiritual master opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my humble obeisances unto him. So this idea of worshiping the Guru, it is found in Vedic literature. Like it, for example, from our spiritual teachers in this particular line, like the Padma Purana, Lord Shiva telling Goddess Durga. So this is a very ancient scripture, Padma Purana, thousands of years old. And the Adi Purana, also another ancient scripture or spiritual teaching. So, in other words, it's not something that was just made up sometime.
Recording in progress.
That's all right. It wasn't something that was just made up some time ago, and the gurus are just cashing in on people worshiping them and cashing in by, disciples giving money and stuff like that. But it's actually a system. Hare Krishna. It's actually a system that has been created by Krishna. Because the idea is that in the material world, something that makes up our material identity, there's a few things that make up our material identity. So one is a material body, right? Very important for the material identity. Another one's a material mind, senses. What else? Also a sense of self, which you call ego, but specifically it's false ego. So false ego is an aspect of our material identification or material identity. And this false ego is a sense of self. It produces a particular pride. I'm a great personality. I know so much. I don't need anybody's help. I could figure things out myself. On and on and on. So in order for this false ego or this pride to be removed, there has to be some practical ways to remove it. And a very practical way to remove, or in other words, a very practical way for it to help us develop humility, which is very important, is that we accept a guru, a teacher. This is a good way to develop this humility. So yeah, it's a system created by Krishna. And as Srila Prabhupada has mentioned here in the last particular excerpt from his talk in New York, he's saying that he himself doesn't accept any credit, but it's all just because of his following his guru, having faith and following his guru. And then Srila Prabhupada saying to his disciples, he's saying that you also continue that. So in other words, he's saying in an indirect way, you have faith in me. And it's not in a proud sense that, oh, you have faith in me, but it's in the sense that, okay, I'm following the teachings of Bhagavad Gita, of Srimad Bhagavatam, of Krishna. And specifically, I'm following my guru. So because I'm following my guru, then you could place your faith. That's what Srila Prabhupada's saying. And he's saying as soon as one doesn't follow their guru, then yeah, they're not someone we could put our faith in or trust in. So yeah, those are just some points. Does anybody have any questions about any of that so far? Yes.
It was just more like
Or comments?
it was more just a clarification what a word means, or what is that, how you say that? Organize element?
Yeah.
What does that mean?
Well, means that, who has their phone? We'll get an exact definition. Can you look that word up?
Sure.
Nothing better than a dictionary, right?
Yeah. Where's the word?
Aggrandizement, it's there in the fourth quote. Here, you could read it to everybody. You could answer your own question.
The second one? Okay. The act of making something appear greater than it actually warranted by the facts.
The third one,
Expansion of power, wealth, rank, or honor.
Yeah, so the guru's not having people worship him for the sake of personal material pleasure. You know, the pleasure that comes from, you know, people worshiping. The guru's not doing it for that. There may be some people out there, inauthentic gurus, maybe politicians, maybe this person, that Hollywood, Bollywood stars, or some type of inauthentic gurus or something that may be wanting to, for personal pleasure or power, but the guru doesn't do that, so. Okay, so there's a writing exercise, so based on your present conceptions and understanding, list some benefits of regular guru puja, worshiping the guru. What are some benefits? You need a pen? Does anybody have another pen? Yeah, where's Shukri? I mean, if you could do it within a few minutes. If you don't find him, then just come back. Yeah, he was saying he wanted a guru really bad, but it's not showing up here, right? That's a good joke. Hey, Prabhu, you really want a guru? What's going on? You know, you're not here.
He's taking a nap.
All right, does anybody have any thoughts you'd like to share? Zoomland, Mayenza, or anybody here? Okay, so
Hey, Hare Krishna. Yeah, the benefits of regular seeing Guru Puja is developing like a taste for a nice relationship with your Guru or Sri Prabhupada. And then at the same time, if you sing it like we do it, they do it every morning, it's not only glorifying the Guru, you actually establish a nice relationship with the community because everybody's doing it with you. And it just amps it up a little bit more, I feel like. Those are the benefits of daily Guru Pujas.
all right. Anybody else? Yeah, so benefits of regular Guru Puja is one is it's like we're showing our gratitude, you know, to the spiritual master. And again, if we accept Krishna's system outlined in the Bhagavad Gita and other books, then this is what he wants. And it's you could say, means of spiritual success. And yeah, like you said, we're all engaged in, you know, the worship of the Guru, and it's, yeah, community building. But yeah, we have to be careful that it doesn't become like a, what do you call? Like a personality cult. A personality cult is, of course, that word cult, it's like, I mean, if you look up cult in the dictionary, again, the dictionary, it, as far as I remember, it just means a group of particular people who all have the same interests, and they're moving in the same direction. Now, of course, the word cult has completely been hijacked, and you can't use that word as like a great word. Like, in other words, if you're like out at Balboa Park, or if you're like talking to some of your co-workers at work, and you say, "Hey, you wanna you wanna join our cult?" You know, it's like, that's just, you can't say that. You know, that's there's negative connotations in that, right? Now, but it just means a group, you know, who believe a certain thing and are moving in a particular direction. I mean, at one particular point, after Jesus Christ appeared, right, on this mortal plane, and after his creating of disciples and followers and so on, I mean, his movement was practically speaking, in people's eyes, a cult of strange people, right? And they were, historically speaking, being harassed, tortured, right, killed. So, but of course, yeah. I mean, when we think of the word cult, people think of all types of insane things, that people do in those cults, So yeah, of course, the Krishna conscious movement is not a cult, but on the other hand, we have to be careful that we have the right understanding, because we don't want to develop this kind of consciousness like we're in a personality cult. We're worshiping a very influential, a very charismatic person, maybe you could say mindlessly, or to some degree mindlessly, without understanding who the person is. In other words, we should try to understand as much as possible, who Srila Prabhupada is. And then naturally, we would want to bow down to such a person or worship such a person, because understanding who they are, how great the person is. So, yeah, those are some thoughts about that. So the next page is 43, Pranam Mantras. After chanting the Pranam Mantra of their Diksha Guru, all grand disciples and future generations should chant at least the first of Srila Prabhupada's Pranam Mantra while offering obeisances as a means of respecting the founder Acharya. So we talked about that before. I think we should just chant both. So, Srila Prabhupada's Pranam Mantra. Offering artik. While performing arti in the temple or at the temple-related functions, a pujari may keep a small picture of his or her Diksha Guru on the arti tray or table instead of the altar. Provided the Diksha Guru is an ISKCON approved Guru in good standing, the picture of the Diksha Guru should be smaller in size than the picture of Srila Prabhupada on the altar, and it shall be removed after the arti. So, this is referring to those who get on the altar and worship the deities. As part of worshiping the deities, there's a picture of the Guru there. Because the idea is you're like serving Krishna through the Guru, means you're assisting the Guru in service to Krishna. So it's referring to some details like that. The disciples of ISKCON Gurus other than Srila Prabhupada may offer Guru Puja to their Gurus outside the temple room. The temple should provide facility for these disciples' worship. So generally with the spiritual master, there's one day where they accept, like, could say, formal worship, and that is on their birthday, Vyasa Puja. So the idea is on Vyasa Puja, all the disciples, they get together, and the Guru's there, and it's a day to, it's a very joyful day in which the disciples are expressing their gratitude in the form of written and vocal offerings, right? You helped me so much, this and that. It's poems and all these types of things. And aside from that, there may be some offering of incense and, ghee lamp and all that to the spiritual master on that particular day. And of course, again, like culturally speaking, Krishna, 5,000 years ago, Krishna, when he would just meet some, you could say, Brahmins or great devotees, he would worship them with incense and ghee lamp and all this. So it's ingrained in the culture, actually. Ingrained in the culture in the sense that, like, sometime, in other words, in the West, people may think this is weird. Like you sit someone down, another human down, and you're like offering incense, and it's just a form of respect. It may be a high form of respect, especially in modern times, right? But it was a super common thing, Like in previous times, due to my, speaking from my perspective, but due to just my, or anyone like in a similar situation, social or spiritual order, I'd be getting a lot of of this type of worship in previous times. Of course, not now, which is fine. But it's a super common thing, especially in the past. But now it's reserved for once a year, that special worship of the Guru. Hare Krishna. Special worship of the Guru is that. So we're on page 43. Continuing. In this, one has to be really one has to be super, as a guru, one has to be super humble. And that's why they're a guru, because they're the most humble. They cannot be proud, at all. And even if there may be some lingering pride there, they have to, absolutely control it and check it, for certain gurus who haven't completely, got rid of the beast, But the best is if the guru is super humble. Why? Because they have to be. Why? Because they're getting, special respect. Like this formal worship. You're sitting there and you have a bunch of disciples and they're reading glorifications to you. How great you are. So you have to be extremely humble to accept that, right? Of course, someone would say, well, you don't have to. But it's hard to hide. We could hide a lot of things, but it's very hard to hide pride. It's very hard to hide that. Eventually it comes out in some way or another, some fashion. Prabhupada tells the story of a man who spoke many languages. He spoke French, German, right? This, that, so many different languages. So no one could really understand where he's from, right? So then somebody said, okay, I know how we could find out. What you do, you go behind him and you just, hit him in the back of the head, right? And the guy said, all right, we'll try that out. So they went and they, hit him in the back of the head. And the guy kind of cursed in his native tongue, natural. And they spontaneously said something. And they found out what language he was. So in other words, if under tests, under difficulties, under pressure, under certain circumstances, like for example, you're sitting there and everybody's glorifying you, that pride may manifest, right? Therefore, one has to be really humble. Or like Srila Prabhupada gave the example, you may put a dog on a throne, right? Put a nice crown on him or something, or her, right? Nice garland, whatever. But as soon as you throw a bone, or whatever, shoe, the dog jumps off. So in other words, you could put someone in a very high spiritual position, but as soon as there's some test or something, then they fell. So yeah, one has to be extremely humble to be a spiritual and that's actually why. That's actually why, again, why they're a guru, because they're so humble, and specifically they're training their disciples in humility. So, for example, my spiritual teacher, His Holiness Giraj Swami, he's known to be extremely humble, and he is. And he had a lot of training, personal training, under Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada stayed, because my spiritual master was largely there in Juhu, Mumbai, helping to build that temple. It's huge, beautiful temple there still. And Srila Prabhupada stayed there for like a year, you know. Prabhupada was spreading the Hare Krishna movement. He came here in 65, and then he left in 77. So he spent a whole year there, you know, off and on. So he had a lot of association with them. In other words, that city was the city that Srila Prabhupada spent the most time in that period of 11 years. So he had a lot of personal training, and he was, you could say, very thoroughly trained in Krishna consciousness, and also just serving the spiritual teacher. It's humbling in the sense, you know. So in other words, he was trained, right, by his spiritual teacher, Srila Prabhupada, in humility, and then he's trying to train me and other. Of course, I'm not the only disciple. He has, you know, many disciples, but he's trying to train me and his other disciples in humility, and therefore he accepts service, some personal service. For example, like the guru, or the spiritual master, you know, the disciples will cook. They'll serve prasadam. They'll do all these types of things. And so one thing is it's a way to train the disciples in humility, but another thing is that it actually frees up the guru's time more. So they could do important things. For example, write books or whatever, do so many different things. If you analyze how much time we spend, like just kind of like taking care of things, it's like a lot of time actually, you know. What to speak if, you know, we have to cook for ourselves? That takes a lot of time. Of course, there's, you know, fast food and stuff like that, but a lot of these things, yeah, they take a lot of time. So the disciples help with that, and then the guru's freed up to do important things, right? My friend told me one time he was folding his clothes, and he handed me one of his clothes, and he said, "Here you go, help." He said, "Do something for humanity," which I thought was an interesting comment. Later I thought about it, and I said, "Oh, that's an interesting point, because if I free up some of his time by helping him, right, reduce the time he has to spend and all these other things, then he have more time to help people, you know. So that's there. All right, so the next one is restricted titles. No one in ISKCON will be addressed publicly with the honorific title His Divine Grace, nor be addressed either publicly or privately by the honorific endings in Pad or Dev. Disciples may address their ISKCON Diksha or Shiksha Gurus as Guru Dev or Guru Maharaj. And you say, what does this mean? So after Srila Prabhupada's departure in 1977, he passed away, there was a group of devotees who were acting as Diksha Gurus. And the particular thing that happened was that practically their only example of a guru was Srila Prabhupada. So Prabhupada's disciples, their main example of how to be a guru was Srila Prabhupada. So these disciples, they were also acting as gurus, but they started accepting a lot of titles, right? Like honorific titles and worship. And factually speaking, most of them, they didn't know how to handle it. They were young men. They were they have only been devotees for what, the most 10 years? I mean, that's like not that much to be a big guru or something with hundreds and thousands of disciples. So it's a whole kind of colorful history. And based on that, they, over the years, they kind of modified things to help with this idea of the guru, properly, not helping the spiritual masters kind of navigate this whole service that they're doing. I don't know if that's, anyways. So this one, welcoming Vaishnavas. Events welcoming Vaishnavas, including those serving as gurus to ISKCON temples, should be modest. For example, offering a sitting place, offering a prasadam and something to drink, presentation of a garland, and performance of kirtan. So again, all of these ISKCON laws, they're created on the basis of the idea of trying to keep Srila Prabhupada in the center. Can somebody move? Hey, Shukr, do you think you can move over here, please? Because there's an empty spot there. And that's so I have a more, so I don't get like sickness or something. I have a little more balance.
We don't want you to get dizzy.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's better. I'm feeling better.
Right or left? Stage right, stage left.
I think it's good right there. Don't move though. So the idea is to keep Srila Prabhupada in the center and not forget him. So sometimes in the past there was these gurus in ISKCON, and there was a tendency to do that, right? Forget Srila Prabhupada and kind of take the role, so to speak, of Prabhupada. For example, we're talking about Vyasa Puja, the celebration of the Guru, right? So Srila Prabhupada would have a one-day celebration, right? And then the Guru would have a 3-day celebration. So it's just not proper, So this is a lot of the reasons they've come up with all of this. So people don't, things are done properly. All right, so there's a writing exercise here, and I don't know if anybody's here actually attended a Vyasa Puja ceremony. Has anybody attended a Vyasa Puja ceremony? Note down some reflections about attending a Vyasa Puja ceremony. So in order for you to note down some reflections, you have to have attended it. So who has attended a Vyasa Puja ceremony here?
That's the initiation.
Huh?
The initiation.
No.
What's Vyasa Puja? Oh, someone that's been.
The birthday of the appearance of.
The parents of the Guru, Srila Prabhupada or another Guru.
Oh, like Sri Prabhupada with his Vyasa Puja.
Appearance day, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you were here for that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I spoke on it.
Yeah. So you want to tell us some of your reflections?
This mic is very loud. It was actually Jamashtami as well the day before, so I went to sleep at 4 o'clock in the morning.
Wow.
And so I woke up kind of right when we were starting to praise Prabhupada during the readings of, and then some of the Prabhupada's disciples were there during that time as well. And it was very loving and very warm. Another thing was during the day we were getting ready for just like the main event, which was, Srila Prabhupada and his Vashi Puja. And one really thing that I guess that stuck out was that we put all these different like ingredients on him, like like yogurt and charmtarita, right? So it's called. And so we put all these things, and Srila Prabhupada was this, like, he was a more little statue that we did it on. And I don't know, we got to drink that nectar, and it was really nice. And so, yeah, it was a very. It felt so like I feel like Janmashtami was like a party that everyone can go to, but like more like Sri Prabhupada was like a more like family kind of vibe. And overall, it was a day to remember. I'm actually surprised I remembered. I was like thinking, I was like, wait, did I remember anything?
Thank you. That was very nice, Daniel. I feel very inspired. Yeah, so Janmashtami is Krishna's appearance day. And then the day after is Srila Prabhupada's appearance day, Vyasa Puja. So, like Daniel was saying, it's a ceremony. It's quite emotional, actually, because devotees are expressing their heart, right, to Srila Prabhupada and the devotees about glorifying Srila Prabhupada and what they felt that he did for them and so on. There was one Vyasa Puja. I was speaking and I was giving my offering, and I wasn't planning on doing this because it's kind of a strange thing to plan to do. But while I was speaking, I just started crying, and then I had a hard time speaking. The for the few minutes I was supposed to speak. So, and I would speak, and then I would cry some more. I'd speak, and I'd cry some more. But I usually don't do that. But somehow or other, I was doing it that day. So it's a bit of an emotional day. And I was reflecting on the devotees who have helped me on my journey, and also, followers of Srila Prabhupada and Srila Prabhupada as well. So it's a very it's a very moving day, actually. A joyous day. It's the day where Srila Prabhupada appeared, his birthday, a very happy day. And same with the Guru. If one accepts a spiritual master or Guru, it's also a very joyous day. The day this personality, appeared. So just like I was last night, I was listening to a lecture. It was an initiation ceremony, actually. Radhanath Swami was initiating this devotee who was born in a devotee family. But he didn't get initiated for like years. I think he's like 40 at least. So he didn't get initiated like for many, many years. And then Radhanath Swami was saying, okay, he's just about to give him his name, and he said, yeah, I think the demigods have been waiting for this day, for you to get initiated. And he's taking a while to come in. I was going to say something to him when he comes in, but I didn't think it was going to take that long to come in. Hey, okay, there you are. All right. It's a party now. Abhinav is here. Okay. So, but he said, I think the demigods were waiting, right, for this time. And then he gave him the name. His name was Gauravani. And I think Radhanath Swami gave him the name Gauravani. So anyways, so then I'm bringing this up because his father, Gauravani's father, was there. This devotee who just got initiated, his father was there. And his father said that, he said, this is the second most happy day in my life. He said, the first most happy day in my life was the day you were born. He's telling his son that. And he says, the second day is this day, the day you're getting initiated, reborn spiritually. So for somebody who has affection for somebody, who loves somebody, who, then that person's birthday is a special day because it's the day where that person, was born. And the day that person, right? Yeah. So similarly for the spiritual master, it's like that. for the disciples, it's a very beautiful, very wonderful day. The day this, he was born. So in other words, it's all about. I don't want to get too sentimental, but the love word. So that's what Christian consciousness is about. It's spiritual, All right, so the last quote here is, in order to focus more fully on Srila Prabhupada and every devotee's special relationship with him, an ISKCON Shiksha or Diksha Guru may accept public Guru Puja, Arti, and or foot bathing, in person once a year on ISKCON property on his or her Vyasa Puja birthday. This celebration may be held in the temple room. ISKCON members conducting Vyasa Puja ceremonies for ISKCON Guru shall observe them in a modest way, significantly less elaborate than Srila Prabhupada's Vyasa Puja. In general, devotees shall observe these Vyasa Puja celebrations in their own locales. In ISKCON, Vyasa Puja books may be published only for Srila Prabhupada. So Vyasa Puja book is a book of all the different offerings, written. All right, so there's two more on page 44. It's generally considered a violation of Vaishnava etiquette for disciples to request the spiritual masters, god brothers, god sisters to write an offering for, offer praise during, or participate in the Vyasa Puja ceremony for their spiritual master. So in other words, like you have Srila Prabhupada, right? And then you have a disciple of Srila Prabhupada, Giriraj Swami, for example, who's a guru. Now, this is saying that it's inappropriate or not really in terms of etiquette for me as a disciple to go ask Giriraj Swami's godbrothers, means other Prabhupada disciples, to write offerings to Giriraj Swami. Because the idea is it's practically for, like, it's a student-teacher dynamic going on there, right? Writing offerings, and it's not so much for, like, peers or friends, so to speak, for that. Although sometimes it does happen. Just like recently, some time ago, there's a Vyasa Puja celebration of Giriraj Swami on Zoom. It was actually real intense. It was last year during heavy lockdown, and because everybody was locked down, what they did is they organized this worldwide Zoom Vyasa Puja, so from all these different countries. So he was sitting there, Giriraj Swami was sitting there for it's very difficult actually, for hours. It happened in a month span. Maybe twice a week, something like that. I forgot the details exactly, but there were long Zoom, it was 5-hour Zoom calls, and he was sitting there as a guru having to hear all these people say nice stuff about him. And, but it was, again, it's out of affection, it's out of love. It's not like something weird, it's just you're just expressing your appreciation. You're opening your heart to somebody who helped you. And a lot of people, I take it as sincerely, seriously crying because they felt that this person's moved them so much, affected them positively so much, directly, indirectly, through their example, through their care, through their affection, right? So it's out of affection. But on one of those Vyasa Puja sessions, Giriraj Swami's godbrother, means another Prabhupada disciple, he was there, who's also guru. So he was opening his heart to his friend, Giriraj Swami. And he was saying different things about him that he appreciates about him. And then one thing he said, well, Giriraj Swami said, I'm gonna have to admit something to you. He says, to tell you the truth, I pray to you daily. because of course the idea of prayer and the guru, it's a whole, spiritual, not bound by time and space and all that, right? Communication via soul and super soul. So he said, I pray to you daily, right? So anyways, and he said some other nice things. So then Giraj Swami, he said, well, to tell you the truth, I also pray to you daily. So he said, I don't know how this is going to work, but anyways, so interesting. So they're both very, humble, taking themselves as needing help from each other. So the last one is, ISKCON members shall celebrate Srila Prabhupada's Vyasa Puja ceremony as the preeminent Vyasa Puja ceremony in ISKCON. All ISKCON members are requested to write an annual Vyasa Puja offering to Srila Prabhupada. So we could write an offering of gratitude to Srila Prabhupada on his appearance day. All right, does anybody have any questions in relation to any of that before we move on? Yes.
So when I joined, it was around that time, and I didn't write one, but I did speak on that day, out of spontaneous arrangement. so yeah, that was nice.
Nice. Any other? Yes.
Hare Krishna. I had a couple questions about, I read it and it kind of threw me off. So, they say like, a guru comes like, and we did the Prabhupada and we threw flowers at him and we offered incense in a sense.
To Srila Prabhupada?
Yeah.
Okay.
And when a guru comes and there is their Vyasa Puja, like with Bhakti Chris and Bhakti Tyler, they went up for, and then they're showing pictures.
Yeah.
It's at the same. What I'm trying to say is that feeling for Srila Prabhupada and like your own guru. Does one kind of feel more lenient than the other? Like I feel more attached to my guru, and then like Vyasa Puja for Prabhupada is like, yeah, it's nice. I still feel it, but
feel more towards your guru. You're saying is that proper or natural?
Yeah.
It's
like it's because they're alive and like you could interact with them. They could.
I mean, I think you should feel equal or more towards Srila Prabhupada. But another thing to consider is that Srila Prabhupada and the Guru are together. They shouldn't be seen as separate. Like, of course, they're individuals, but they're like together, side by side. And actually, it's the real Guru's business to bring to life Srila Prabhupada's. Of course, Srila Prabhupada's teaching and everything about him is already full of life. But to bring to life to the disciple Srila Prabhupada's mood and his message and him as a person, to bring that, to deliver all of that to the disciple. That's the Guru's business. It's not that the Guru is just an independent Guru and, the name Srila Prabhupada does not come out of his mouth, So they should be connecting, the disciple. And the disciple or the grand disciple should feel attraction to both. To not feel attraction to Srila Prabhupada and, as an initiated devotee, that's kind of strange, just like there was one devotee in Europe who was a book distributor, and he was distributing a bunch of Bhagavad Gitas and other books. And one devotee went there to encourage book distribution, and he was speaking to this devotee. And this devotee revealed his mind, this book distributor who's been distributing books for like many years. And he said, yeah, I don't really like the Bhagavad Gita, to be quite honest. It's like, well, that's pretty, I mean, it's cool he was honest, right? But it's kind of strange, you know, like you're distributing a book and you don't like it, like, and you're like in a movement that's like largely based on the Bhagavad Gita. I don't know. I mean, one devotee actually honestly told me as well about his reading habits of Prabhupada's books, and he honestly told me, he said, to tell you the truth, I couldn't get into Bhagavad Gita for years, for decades. And he said every time I would read it, I would just fall asleep. And, you know, Srila Prabhupada said that these purports are like his devotional ecstasies. So it's not something to, like, you know, fall asleep to, because it's supposed to be ecstatic, you know. So anyways, this devotee told me one day, he said, you know what, this is enough. You know, I'm gonna read the Bhagavad Gita, and I'm gonna focus, and I'm gonna try to, and then he really liked it, he said, you know. So, so to not have attraction to Srila Prabhupada as initiated devotee in the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, it's a little kind of strange, or to see the guru separate from Prabhupada, or, yeah. So anyways, I hope that.
One more question.
Okay.
Sorry. You mentioned that a guru should be so humble that they don't have pride or anything.
Yeah.
So when taking that initiation, like the status of a guru, are they so humble that they don't want to become a guru? Like they're like, no, I'm not like fit for a position. And so like, are they forced to like no? Yeah.
Well, there was one thing, and someone said, "Oh, if anybody wants me as a guru, then I don't want such a, you know, if anyone is consider me a guru and want to take initiation from me, then I wouldn't want to have such a foolish disciple, you know." In other words, saying that, you know, the person's like, why would they want me as a guru, you know? In other words, I don't want any disciples, because to see me as a guru is just like, you know, it's ridiculous, right? So there's an element of humility there, but if somebody has something, right, if somebody has obtained some type of valuable thing and they don't give it in terms of knowledge and so on, what is that? That's not good. So as a service, to distribute the knowledge one has gained, that's important. They say, oh, well, I don't want to tell anybody about Krishna consciousness because I'm too humble, you know. I don't want to share the message of Krishna because, right, I'm too busy, I'm unqualified, I'm too busy sitting here being humble, you know. It's like, if it's valuable, we should share it. So the guru's like that, but of course, to accept the position of guru, it's not just simply distributing knowledge, it's, the whole status and all that. But largely it's to help, actually the main thing is to help people. The gurus don't have to take on the service of taking care of disciples and so on, but it's just to help people. So, yeah. You're welcome. Okay, so lesson 9, Guru Seva. Seva means service. Qualifications of a disciple, Guru Seva, and service to ISKCON, meeting obligations in a balanced manner. Sevaya. Just like if you purchase something, you must pay for it. Therefore, it is called Sevaya. You cannot pay by returning the value which is taught by the spiritual master. That is not possible. Therefore, it is called Sevaya. Dedicate your life for his service. You cannot pay what you have got to pay to a spiritual master. So there's a writing exercise. Guru Seva and service to ISKCON. List in the table below. Ways we can serve the mission of ISKCON. Ways we can serve our Guru. Yes. You have one, right? Okay. All right. That's all right. Okay. All right. So who would like to? What about Jai Lakshmi? Would you like to share? I mean, you don't have to if you don't want to. Would you like to, or you like to pass?
Ways we can serve.
Yes.
To serve the mission of ISKCON.
Can you speak in the mic, please?
Yeah. It's just my opinion.
Okay.
To serve
Can you speak a little
ISKCON
closer in the mic?
mission.
I don't know if it's on. Is it on?
Everybody can listen, right?
Yeah.
Okay. First thing, to follow whatever Srila Prabhupada already teaches through our gurus, we should obey them, and whenever possible we should serve in the temple. That's it. If we follow the Srila Prabhupada teachings, that is the best way to serve ISKCON. And if possible, we can spread that ISKCON to our friends or neighbors, our family people, those who are not aware of these things. In the case of Guru service, first thing, we should have the tendency to accept what he teaching, not just disobey or saying against him anything. Just obey his thing and follow. Not only listen, follow in our life.
All right. Sounds good. Any other? Michael? Yes.
The reason we speak in the mic is because it's on.
Okay, I guess. What about your? What about your prasadam?
Oh, it's okay. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Hare Krishna.
So follow your guru's instructions, offer devotional services, obey their instructions. I guess that's kind of similar to follow, yeah. Glorify him to others. Personally tend to their needs. Associate with your God brothers and God sisters. Serve them prasadam. Attend all programs. Live by example. Give to charity. serve the temples, preach to the public, or share with the public, distribute books.
Sounds good. Yeah, so there's different ways to serve ISKCON, to drop the mic.
Before I forget, you said that thing about if you wanted me to be a guru, I wouldn't want to.
Yeah.
The people that followed me
Yeah.
wouldn't be. When did you hear that?
Some time ago.
Okay, because it's possible it's a coincidence, but there's a very famous quote by Groucho Marx. You know who that is, right?
Yeah.
So Groucho Marx was on a talk show, probably
Yeah.
Jack Parr
Yeah.
back in the day, before Carson, yeah?
Yeah.
And they said, we heard that you were invited to join the Bel Air Country Club and you declined. You live in Bel Air, you play golf, why didn't you join? He goes, any club that would have me as a member, I wouldn't want to join.
Yeah.
So it's like,
That's where it's coming from, actually. Yeah, so there's different ways to serve the ISKCON and the Guru. Yeah, like you said, like all of you said nicely. So that's the basic thing. I mean, there was a study in America. I think maybe some of you are aware of it. It's called positive psychology. And the study was on the particular generation who pretty much they followed everything they were told to follow. Like, okay, well, you work really hard, you get your credentials, right? You get your degrees in college, and then you work very hard, make lots of money, get a nice material setup for yourself, and you have a nice family and children and go on vacations, and then in this way you'll be completely happy. So they did this study on these particular people who followed all this, and they found that, first of all, they weren't 100% happy. And specifically, in this study, they found that two things would help in their actually attaining happiness. So one thing is to meditate, have some type of spiritual practice. And the second thing is to give charity. Means to do something for others. So when we talk about serving ISKCON or serving the Guru, it's this principle of selfless service, which actually brings happiness. So, all right. So on the importance of balanced approach to rendering Guru seva and service to the mission of ISKCON, what do you think about that, Abhinav?
The second question.
Yeah.
So we can serve the Guru if we've made any vows specific to him by following those. Oh, okay. Second, okay. Balanced. I think like sticking to some of the vows that we've made to the Guru, that will help us not just in our own spiritual progress, but also in the growth of the mission overall. And one of the biggest aspects of being in ISKCON is that you do spread the word, and so you don't want to kind of hold back on that.
Okay. So a balanced approach is, okay, we have to render service to the Guru, but we also have to render service to ISKCON. So, I mean, but the thing is, they both go together. It's not. It's a misunderstanding to think that they don't go together. It's not like, oh, huh? Yeah. So, like rice and dal. So they go together, in the sense that if we're serving the Guru, authentic Guru, then within ISKCON, then they'll engage us in the service of ISKCON. So it's not such a big problem, actually. All right, so list some of the next one. Write two more writing exercises. List some of the obligations I have in life, in addition to obligations to my guru. That should be pretty easy, right? What are some obligations? Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. All right, so I think we have a general idea of our obligations, right? It's pretty simple, but now the next one is suggest solutions to challenges faced in fulfilling obligations to Guru and others in a balanced manner. So you have all these obligations, right? Aside from service to the Guru. Now, how do you balance that? How do you balance, or specifically, how do you find solutions to challenges faced in fulfilling obligations to Guru and others in a balanced manner? Well, what would be some examples of that? What are some challenges? Waking up at a very early hour for.
He's being unspecific. He's meaning specifically 4 a.m. or earlier.
Yeah.
Yes.
So waking up very early, that's a challenge, okay?
For some.
For some, in terms of like a service to the Guru, waking up early. So how do you balance that with other obligations? Now, what are some other things?
Your health.
Your health.
It's like more for like yourself. You know, you gotta take self-care.
So you got to take care of yourself, health-wise. So how do you balance that with service to the Guru? What are some more, you could say, details in relation to that?
So yeah, my initial thing was your health has a big role, but taking care of your health actually takes care of the abilities to serve your Guru.
Yeah.
And so it kind of goes hand in hand, like rice and dal, that we have to be able to take care of ourselves so that we can, you know, serve the Guru in that way. But then also,
Yeah.
I guess, like for the Guru, in order to have that.
But how would
balance.
now? How do we? Yeah, you can turn that off. How do we balance those? In other words, okay, let's say that for the service of the Guru, the progress in Krishna consciousness, we need to rise early, or earlier than we are, but we also need to take care of our health. So these are like, or you could say, oh, okay, we need to rise early, but we have other obligations. Maybe our obligations is we have to work late at some company, right? So how do we balance those obligations? Or let's say, okay, we're in a company and part of the people are in India, right? So you have to have these conversations late at night. Sometimes it happens. Yeah, you have to have conversations late at night. So you have a difficulty rising early the next morning. Or let's say that for the service of your guru, you're working really hard to make lots of money, but you're letting your health be damaged. So how do you balance these? Well, maybe get a new job. Maybe use a planner. Maybe be balanced in one's work. Right? Yes.
Find that devotee association is also helpful, having you have your Diksha Guru and Siksha Guru, but there's also association of devotees. So when we associate with devotees, right, they might come and wake you up from a nap, right? And you might have them sitting on the same table, one week and the other the next, right? Because the body doesn't want to cooperate, but they keep you on point. So devotee association is, I think, critical.
What the helping solution. Yeah, that's... All right, Mayenza, do you want to read the next few quotes? I was saying, Mayenza, you're there? If he's responding, I can't hear him. Anyways, I'm not sure if I just can't hear him because so we want to hear Mayenza, but I hope he wasn't trying to speak earlier. We have him like muted or something. Oh, he muted himself. Can we? Anyways, all right. Well, I'll read the next few. The devotees of Lord Chaitanya must preach Krishna consciousness in every village and town in the world. That will satisfy the Lord. It is not that one should act whimsically for his own personal satisfaction. This order comes down through the Parampara system, and the spiritual master presents these orders to the disciples so that he can spread the message of Mahaprabhu. It is the duty of every disciple to carry out the order of the bona fide spiritual master and spread Lord Chaitanya's message all over the world. Just try to learn the truth by approaching a spiritual master, inquire from him submissively, and render service unto him. The self-realized souls can impart knowledge unto you because they have seen the truth. Such a spiritual master should be accepted in full surrender, and one should serve the spiritual master like a menial servant without false prestige. Satisfaction of the self-realized spiritual master is the secret of advancement in spiritual life. Our movement is that beginning of spiritual life is to surrender. If there is no surrendering, then it is no advance. Sarvadharmam prityaja, mamekam sharanam braja. This is the beginning. If that thing is lacking, there is no beginning even. What to speak of advancement? That is discussed already. Na siddhim sa avapnoti, na sukham na param gati. This is the beginning of spiritual life. The word is called disciple. Disciple means who accepts discipline. If there is no discipline, where is disciple? The principle of very rigidly carrying out the order of the spiritual master must be observed. The spiritual master gives different orders to different people. For example, Mahaprabhu ordered Jiva Goswami, Rupa Goswami, and Sanatana Goswami to preach, and he ordered Raghunath Das Goswami to strictly follow the rules and regulations of a renounced order. All 6 Goswamis strictly followed the instructions of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. This is the principle for progress in devotional service. After receiving an order from the spiritual master, one must strictly try to execute the order. That is the way of success. Giving up the regulatory principles and living according to one's whims is compared to a mad elephant, which by force uproots the bhakti lata, the creeper of devotion, or the plant of devotion within one's heart, and breaks it to pieces. In this way, the bhakti lata shrivels up. Such an offense is especially created when one disobeys the instructions of the spiritual master. This is called guru avagya. The devotee must therefore be very careful not to commit offenses against the spiritual master by disobeying his instructions. As soon as one is deviated from the instructions of the spiritual master, the uprooting of the bhakti lata begins, and gradually all the leaves dry up. After being initiated and receiving the orders of the spiritual master, the disciple should unhesitatingly think about the instructions or orders of the spiritual master and should not allow himself to be disturbed by anything else. This is also the verdict of Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, who, while explaining the verse of Bhagavad Gita, Vyavasyatmaka Buddhira Ekeha Kurunandana, Bhagavad Gita as it is 241, points out that the order of the spiritual master is the life substance of the disciple. The disciple shouldn't consider whether he is going back home back to Godhead. His first business should be to execute the order of the spiritual master. Thus, a disciple should always meditate on the order of the spiritual master, and that is perfectional meditation. Not only should he meditate upon that order, but he should find out the means by which he can perfectly worship and execute it. Okay, so lesson 10. Lesson 10. All right. Yes, sir. Yes, good sir. I think this mic is too loud, Tapas, this one.
Hare Krishna.
Okay, you can keep on speaking, yeah.
Yeah. Prabhu, you can probably tell us, once we take the spiritual master, do we get like a specific instruction, like order, what to do and all? Like meditating on the order means.
Well, there's two things. There's general instructions, and then there's specific. So the Guru gives general instructions to everybody, right, in his classes and so on. But then there's specific instructions. So you may get some specific instructions, but you may not. It depends on your relationship. Like Prabhupada gave some of his disciples specific instructions. I want you to translate the Bhagavad Gita into Bengali. Whereas some devotees, he didn't give specific instructions. Chant Hare Krishna, follow the process. So. But whether we get general or specific, the idea is to try to rack our brains how to fulfill the orders of the Guru, whether they're general or specific. Ultimately doesn't. Of course, it's nice to have specific instruction, but so. All right, so Guru Vapu, lesson 10, and Vani Seva. So Vapu means form, and Vani means instructions. So you're serving the Guru's form or serving the instructions, right? So this is a thing to note because it'll be on the test. The difference between Guru Vapu and Guru Vani. Vapu is form, Vani, instruction. Methods of Guru Vapu and Vani Seva. Importance of Guru Vapu, behaving appropriately in the presence of the Guru, inquiring from the Guru. Importance of Guru Vani Seva. Vapu, physical body. Vani, instructions. The verdict of all revealed scriptures is that by even a moment's association with the pure devotee, one can attain all success. All right, so behaving appropriately in the presence of the Guru. So there's quite a list here. You'll be tested in every single one of these. You'll have to write it out. I'm just joking. But it's hard to remember all of them. But anyways, these are the general, you could say, the behavior one should have in front of the Guru. All right, it says he, so it could also refer to she, so, but it's saying he, but. He should fall down like an uprooted tree, dandavat, on seeing the spiritual master. So in other words, one should offer obeisances when one sees the spiritual master. Bow down. When Guru approaches, he should face him, and when he leaves, he should follow him. So this principle of, if the Guru is there, like let's say the Guru walks in, right, and I'm sitting here and I'm looking this way and the Guru walks in. I shouldn't just remain sitting this way. I should stand up, turn around, offer obeisances, and It's kind of basic. And then when the guru leaves, I mean, they have this even in it's like you're with the guru, right? And then the guru's leaving, and you just keep on sitting in your room. And okay, very nice to see you, Guru Maharaj. And then he walks out, and then that's it. You just kind of stay there. But there's a principle of following the guru out, or any guest really. Follow him out, right? As a respectful host or person, and very nice to you know, offer some nice words. And they get in the car, and then they leave, and you're still there, you know, seeing them off. And then they're driving away, and then they say that as soon as the car disappears from vision, then you could go back. Yes.
Just a real quick. Is it okay? Let's say like if I had a guru and I give him my obeisances, but we're in the temple room, and is it okay to do it that in front of the deities? Yeah.
Yes, you can.
Okay.
Yeah. He should not leave the spiritual master's presence without asking permission. He should not leave the spiritual master's name inattentively, but always with respect. So, for example, if you say, "Oh, who's your guru?" You don't say, if his name is Giriraj Swami, you don't say, "Oh, my guru's name is Giriraj," you know. You say, "My guru's name is His Holiness Giriraj Swami Maharaj." Yeah. Respectful. He should not imitate the gait, activities, or voice of the spiritual master. I think the gait means the walk, you know. He should always hold the spiritual master's words in great respect. Though he may be punished by the spiritual master, he should not take it unkindly. So if the spiritual master corrects us, we shouldn't think, "Oh, who does he think he is? Why is he correcting me?" And, you know, we should accept it. Though he may be punished, he should not bear to hear criticism of the spiritual master, the scriptures, or Krishna, but should leave the place immediately. So he shouldn't hear any criticism. He should not step on the spiritual master's garland, bed, shoes, asan, seat, shadow, or table. So shadow, even the shadow, right? Don't step on the guru's shadow. He should not spread his legs before the spiritual master, nor should he yawn, laugh, or make disrespectful noises before him. So, when it says don't laugh, I mean, the guru may say something that's funny, you know, and you're allowed to laugh. It's like Prabhupada would say things that were funny and devotees would laugh. Yeah, you can close it. He would say something and devotees would laugh, right? It's not that Prabhupada, you know, cracked a joke and then devotees were just, you know, like like stoned, you know, looking at him, you know. Devotees laughed. I remember I was in Mayapur and there was this sannyasi giving a class. There was like thousands of devotees there. And he was giving this class and he said something. And, you know, none of the devotees laughed. But he was kind of, like, was supposed to be kind of funny, you know. So he said something and nobody laughed. And he said, "It's okay, you know, you could laugh, you know, it's all right." And then gradually, you know, it was kind of interesting. I never saw that before, but the people started laughing. Like one person laughed and they started laughing. So, Vajrayana Swami, when he's giving class, he doesn't have to tell people, "It's okay, you could laugh." They just laugh, you know, because he's pretty funny sometimes. Maharaj is pretty funny. So you can laugh, but anyways. But it's implying that it's not that you laugh at appropriate times. It's not that the guru, you know, comes out and, you know, his it's not that the guru comes out and his button is like, you know, unbuttoned and you start laughing. "Oh, Guru Maharaj, oh, you know, what happened? You forgot to, you know, button your shirt." You know, it's you have to be very respectful, right? He should not sit in an asana or bed before the spiritual master. He should not worship others in preference to the spiritual master. He should not give diksha, scriptural explanations, or show superiority in front of the guru. So let's say somebody's asking a question, right? And you're there with your guru. Somebody asks a question about Krishna consciousness. And then you just kind of step in and say, oh yeah, I could answer that. And you start explaining it in front of your guru. You may be able to answer it, but you let him answer it. It's respectful.
So, Prabhu, like if someone is giving Bhagavatam class, it was said that we should not sit on an asana before spiritual master. Suppose junior devotee is giving a Bhagavatam class and spiritual master came in. Then what is the etiquette?
Well, Prabhupada attended a class of his disciples, and they were sitting on some type of asana. So, but it's a general principle of to be very humble before the spiritual master. And like, for example, Srila Prabhupada one time, he sat on the same level of his guru, and all the disciples were sitting there on the floor. And I think Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur mentioned it. He said, oh yeah, generally a disciple, they don't sit in the same level of the guru, because it's supposed to be a very humble kind of the teacher-disciple relationship. I did that one time. My guru, we're at somebody's house, and there's these devotees, they're sitting on the floor chanting, they had a mat or whatever, but they're chanting japa, and he was sitting in like a chair, like a sofa or something. And I kind of like sat right next to him, and was chanting. And then he told me, he said, nicely, he said, oh, I don't know if I was initiated then either, maybe, but he said, yeah, he said, I know you're like a spiritual son to me, but, generally, the disciples, they don't like sit on the same level, He said that, so I moved down. He should not give orders to the spiritual master, but always obey him. He should not treat the spiritual master. He should treat the spiritual master with similar respect. He should treat the wife, sons, and relatives of the spiritual master as the spiritual master. But he should not clean the body of the son, take his remnants, or wash his feet. So sometimes a spiritual master, like Vaisheshika Prabhu or something, he has a wife, so it doesn't mean that the spiritual master always has to be a sannyasi. And it says that one should respect the spiritual master's family members, and so on, as one respects the spiritual master. So we could take this as we should respect the guru's godbrothers, like you have Prabhupada disciples, right? So we could respect the Prabhupada disciples as we would respect our guru. So, okay, so there's a few quotes here. Daniel, do you think you could read the first 3 quotes?
Yes. Do I have to read the bolded parts?
You can.
Okay. Personally serve the spiritual master by giving him bodily comforts. The words Guru Shushurashaya means that one should personally serve the spiritual master by giving him bodily comforts.
Can you speak a little louder?
Helping him in bathing, dressing, sleeping, eating, and so on. This is called Guru Shurushashanama. A disciple should serve the spiritual master as menial servant, and whatever he has in his possession should be dedicated to the spiritual master. As hard as a thunderbolt and as soft as a rose. An acharya, or a great personality of the Vaishnava school, is very strict in his principles, but although he is hard as a thunderbolt, sometimes he is as soft as a rose. Thus, actually, he is independent. Do you read the Sanskrit?
Shayastu Guruvad Vritir Nityam Eva Samacharet Guru Putreshu Dareshu Gurushchaiva Sabandashu.
To the spiritual master's children, wife, and relatives, the disciple should offer same kind of respectful treatment he offers to the spiritual master himself. Family members of the spiritual master considered him an ordinary human being. If someone considers the Supreme Personality Krishna or Lord Ramachandra to be an ordinary human being, this does not mean the Lord becomes an ordinary human being. Similarly, if the family members in the spiritual master, who is bona fide representative of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is considered spiritual master an ordinary human being, this does not mean that he becomes an ordinary human being. The spiritual master is as good as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and therefore one who is very serious about spiritual advancement must regard the spiritual master in this way. Even a slight deviation from his understanding can create disaster in the disciples' Vedic studies and austerities.
So yeah, the spiritual master should be served, right, different ways, and his relatives or Prabhupada disciples, in the case of them, they could be respected as the same as one would respect the spiritual master. So the next few are respect one's spiritual master's god brothers. So this is what we're talking about. Sri Advaita Prabhu and Ishvara Puri, Lord Chaitanya's spiritual master, were both disciples of Madhavendra Puri. So Ishvara Puri is Lord Chaitanya's guru. And Advaita Prabhu is a god brother of Ishvara Puri, because they're both disciples of Madhavendra Puri. So you have Madhavendra Puri, right? And then you have Advaita Prabhu, and then you have Ishvara Puri Prabhu, two disciples of Madhavendra Puri. And then Ishvara Puri, he initiated Lord Chaitanya. So that's what's going on. Thus Advaita Prabhu is Lord Chaitanya's spiritual uncle. So that's how you respect the god brother, the spiritual master's god brothers, like his uncles. Thus Advaita Prabhu, as Lord Chaitanya's spiritual uncle, was always to be respected, because one should respect one's spiritual master's god brothers as one respects one's spiritual master. My dear Sanatan, although you are the deliverer of the entire universe, and although even the demigods and great saints are purified by touching you, it is the characteristic of a devotee to observe and protect the Vaishnava etiquette. Maintenance of the Vaishnava etiquette is the ornament of a devotee. If one transgresses the laws of etiquette, people make fun of him, and thus he is vanquished in both this world and the next. By observing the etiquette, you have satisfied my mind. This is the importance of etiquette. Those who listen to the Bhagavatam may put questions to the speaker in order to elicit the clear meaning, but this should be not be done in a challenging spirit. One must submit questions with a great regard for the speaker and the subject matter. This is also the way recommended in the Bhagavad Gita. One must learn the transcendental subject by submissive oral reception from the right sources. Therefore, these sages addressed the speaker Sutta Goswami with great respect. One must be jigyasu, very inquisitive, to learn from the bona fide spiritual master. The inquiries one makes should strictly pertain to transcendental science. The word uttamam refers to that which is above material knowledge. Tama means the darkness of this material world. Ut means transcendental. Generally, people are very interested in inquiring about mundane subject matters, but when one has lost such interest and is simply interested in transcendental subject matters, he is quite fit to be initiated. So, he asks the spiritual master important questions, not like, the guru is not like a, financial guru or something like that. Oh, Guru Maharaj, can you help me with my financial situation? Or there's other gurus for that, but it's strictly spiritual. Although, according to material vision, His Divine Grace, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada passed away from this material world on the last day of December 1936. I still consider His Divine Grace to be always present with me by His Vani, His words. There are two ways of association by Vani and Vapu, by instructions and by the form. Vani means words and Vapu means physical presence. Physical presence is sometimes appreciable and sometimes not, but Vani continues to exist eternally, instruction. Therefore, we must take advantage of the Vani, not the physical presence. The Bhagavad Gita, for example, is the Vani of Lord Krishna. Although Krishna was personally present 5,000 years ago and is no longer physically present from the materialistic point of view, the Bhagavad Gita continues. This is the concluding words of the Chaitanya Charitamrita, which is Lord Chaitanya's biography, which is an absolutely amazing book. So this day today, it's Rama Ekadashi, or Rama Ekadashi, and this day is the day that Srila Prabhupada completed the Chaitanya Charitamrita. So it's a whole 9-volume set. It's the authorized biography of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Krishna come again 500 years ago. Originally written in Bengali. Very beautiful work, but Prabhupada translated it and did his purports. So this Ekadashi is the particular day he finished it. So it's a good day to get the Chaitanya Charitamrita if you don't have it already. So who has the Chaitanya Charitamrita? If you want, I could get you the Chaitanya Charitamrita. You have it? Okay.
I don't have it in San Diego.
I mean, you have it because you're in the ashram, but it's $125. It's a 9-volume set. It's very beautiful, but it's a perfect day to get it, and we have some here. So, if anybody, okay. And Prabhupada said he wanted every gentleman, lady to have this in their home. Okay, so the last few are to carry out the teachings of Guru is more important than worship the form, but none of them should be neglected. Maybe Michael should get the Chaitanya Charitamrita today. I mean, I think my personal opinion about that is that, because sometimes people say that, well, I should read this book, I should read that book, and then I'll eventually get the collection of the other books.
Well, I mean, isn't that the proper order?
It's a proper order, but one could still get the collection, Just like, for example, someone may say that, okay, I got a certain amount of money in my bank account, right? So until I spend that money, I don't want to put any more money in it. Yeah, nobody says that, right? Nobody says that. They say, hey, I got $10,000 in my bank account, and until I spend, most of it, then I'll put more money into it, So similarly, it's like the spiritual bank account, Because having a Chaitanya Charitamrita in one's home, it's very purifying, it's very elevating, it's very transcendental, it's special, So someone will say, so the idea is that the more we could get more in our spiritual account, the better. The more we could put in our spiritual account, the better. So if we get a Chaitanya Charitamrita and we put it in our home, it's like putting spiritual money in the bank account. And no one will say that, oh, I'll do it later,
Do you have a physical thing here?
Yes. Yeah, it's not that big. It's like a volume like this. It will fit. You see this, the top of the bookshelf here? It will fit. The 9 volumes will probably fit. Will take up half of that top of the bookshelf. Because I was thinking, if you get that, Michael, you could WhatsApp message Bhakti Sundar Swami and say, I got the Chaitanya Charitamrita. He'll be very happy, actually. He'll be happy. Well, he'll be more happy. So. All right. Donation. Okay, so last few. To carry out the teachings of the Guru is more important than to worship the form, but none of them should be neglected. Form is called Vapu, and teachings is called Vani. Both should be worshipped. Vani is more important than Vapu. So far, personal association with the Guru is concerned, I was only with my Guru 4 or 5 times. That's what Srila Prabhupada said. Wow, 4 or 5 times. But I never left his association, not even for a moment, because I am following his instructions. I have never felt any separation. There are some of my godbrothers here in India who had constant personal association with Guru Maharaj, but who are neglecting his orders. This is just like the bug who is sitting on the lap of the king. He may be very puffed up by his position, but all he can succeed in doing is biting the king. Personal association is not so important as association through service. So far I am concerned, I do not factually feel any separation from my guru because I am trying to serve him according to his desire. That should be the motto. If you kindly try to fulfill my mission for which you have been sent there, that will be our constant association. Okay, the last one. Please be happy in separation. I am separated from my Guru Maharaj since 1936, but I am always with him so long I work according to his direction. So we should all work together for satisfying Lord Krishna, and in that way the feelings of separation will transform into transcendental bliss. All right, so we'll save. So the next class we'll finish the course. That's what's planned. 11, 12, and 13. 11, 12, 13. So that will finish. And then I don't think we'll be able to take the test because it's kind of a lot, to have the class and then the test. So we'll probably have to do that. Yeah. I mean, unless you're really enthusiastic and you want to take the test that day, but... left. When did he leave? Okay, thank you. Hare Krishna. Do you think you could sign this as you want it on your certificate, your name? Yeah.